Hey guys, and welcome back to the ASX Investor channel, and welcome to another CEO interview. Today, we will be diving into the Imugene story on what truly is a milestone day for the company. If you hear about big names like Pfizer and Merck, Imugene have secured a supply deal and an exciting partnership with both of these companies, and we'll be unpacking the story with the CEO, Leslie Chong. You're all familiar with Leslie. We've had her on the channel before. She's a fan favorite, but it's such an exciting day, and I'm really excited to be able to bring this news to you all. Leslie, welcome to the channel once again.
Hi, I'm so excited that there's fans out there for me.
There are fans. You're a fan favorite on the channel. They're always asking to have you back on, so I'm sure there'll be a few excited viewers for today.
Wow. Wow. That makes me very happy.
I guess we'll get straight into the big main event. You must be stoked, over the moon. Pfizer and Merck, these are massive global companies. Did you want to give us the rundown about what's happened and how it's come to fruition?
Okay, so absolutely. So we've been in conversations with Merck Germany and Pfizer for a long time for this particular supply deal. So I want to emphasize how difficult it is for big pharma to just give you drug to play with. We had to really iron out the clinical development and the clinical trials and what that meant and what it means for both partners, because they're not going to give you their drug if they don't think that it's going to fruit anything at the end. So we had designed a really cool clinical trial where we're going to put it in patients before they even get surgery. And we're also going to compare that combination with HERVaxx alone. So we get a lot of data out of first line patients where pre-surgery they get the drug, and they also get HERVaxx by itself with chemo, and then they also get HERVaxx plus Avelumab, and so their drug. So it's in combination. We get a comparator. We also get it after, so we get a nice sample of the tumor to see exactly the mechanism of action of our drug. This is very rare, and then dose them afterwards. So it's pre and post surgery, and so you get just a lump of data, literally a lump of data, and then we look at the pathological response, and that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see that. I am hoping, and they are hoping as well, in that we see some synergy in the combination, that pathologically we are obliterating HER2 receptors to even form. So that's, but I can't emphasize to you enough how hard it is for pharmaceutical companies to just give away their drug anymore for a combination. So if we had to do it ourselves, we would have to pay something like, the initial amount would be something like 4 million Australian dollars. And that's just the initial part. We're not even talking about the latter part. So yeah, it's quite exciting. I'm exhausted, but I'm exuberated, and I'm really, really just fundamentally happy for the potential patients.
And you're smiling, as you said, you're exuberant. Of course, there's so many different moving parts that really are exciting. Big global players. Of course, you get the opportunity of up to a $4 million investment, the equivalent of it. You get to try HERVaxx in combination too, which is exciting. But if you can distill it down, what is really getting you excited about this deal that really helps it set it apart for you?
There is no treatment for frontline neoadjuvant patients. When a patient comes in and they get diagnosed with HER2 positive gastric, their next stage is to get resection. They don't think about providing you anything initially. And if you hit cancer early, at the early diagnosis, sometimes it's quite helpful. And so I'm excited about this earlier lines of disease. I'm excited about the synergy that's going to be, had with HERVaxx and Avelumab, and for the patients and the data that we're going to get. And so HERVaxx in another line of gastric care. We're also going into countries that we haven't been before. South Korea having lots of prevalency with HER2 positive gastric and gastric cancer in general, and Germany. So yeah, it's quite exciting.
And of course, investors might be wondering now, what happens next? The protocol is written up. You and the team have been working very hard. What are the next steps from here to watch out for?
Well, we are looking to enroll patients as fast as we can. I mean, I always have this sense of urgency. I can't stand not doing something. People say I'm almost too proactive, but I I think about it 24/7. I think about like what's going to happen next and I try to anticipate things. So we're trying to get patients into the study so that we can get the data that we need as early as Q1 of 2022. So quite fast. And then pathological response, you can, because you have the tumor samples, it's kind of nice to see the change and what's occurred uh, biologically, cellularly. And so we'll get that result. Hopefully, in a matter of a few months after. So it's a pretty fast study, I would say, but I'm I'm just excited about the potential synergy and the data that we're going to get.
And then I guess flowing on from there as well, if the results are good, if things are moving in the right direction, what are those opportunities flowing out of this and what are the potential longer term opportunities too?
For me, it's all about gathering that data because data speaks to how the patients are doing and if where we're going to move for registrational. So if we have positive data, then we can move into what's called an adaptive study where you can flow from phase 2 and potentially even grow into this registrational study. And again, because there is no line of therapy in that front line space, we could see activities moving quite quickly in terms of the registrational stage. And that's exactly what I want to see.
And I think it's fascinating. Of course, we know that when you're signing up and have the opportunity to sit in front of these big global companies, something is going right when you think about Pfizer, Merck, Eureka, Cellularity. I'd love if you could just provide some color about how these discussions are going and the excitements they have surrounding some of the different treatments in the pipeline.
So a lot of the people that I speak with, they're like me, they're science first. Obviously you deal with the cells and the commercial people on the back end, but up front, you're really thinking about what can we do that's best for patients scientifically. We've got these great drugs. Can we combine it? How does it combine? They pour themselves over the scientific data as we do. And then we try to put it in a place that's going to best highlight how those combinations are going to work, much in the same way that we put HERVaxx in gastric because we thought that that was a truly unmet need and it was going to really highlight how HERVaxx would work. We do that with onCARlytics. We do that with our CF33. As you know, CHECKVacc is in triple negative breast cancer and the first patient's already in. And the regulatory authorities have mandated that we stagger. What that means is we have to wait until 28 days before we can enroll the second patient because they really want you to be careful. But these combinations and these collaborations that we're doing is significant, especially for onCARlytics, because onCARlytics by itself really, yes, our oncolytic virus is pretty powerful and it can implode your tumor cells and fall onto the others. But the fact that we can combine with the CD19 directed target, and we've already have cellularity, allogeneic, off-the-shelf CAR T, and now we have Eureka, who is autologous T-cell therapy. And that is two avenues to see how our onCARlytics can work in that combination. So, when we sit at the table, it's all about science first. How can we scientifically mesh together? We want to do more than dance. We eventually want to get married and, grow up and go to college and all these things. And that's exactly what we're doing. We are maturing and adding value to not only the company and not only the shareholders, but really value, hopefully, our ultimate goal is to add value to the patients. That's going to get that at the end of the day.
It is a very important mission. And since the last time that we spoke as well, you touched on it there, the Eureka partnership has come to life. It's a very exciting one. If you can just catch the viewers up with what the actual partnership is and the opportunities that could come out of that one too, please.
So cellularity is what's called an allogeneic. So it's not dependent on the patient's own, autologous blood type in order to derive a CAR T. This can be taken off the shelf. And so that's pretty innovative. And it's really sort of the new sexy way of doing CAR Ts. And so we're really, really happy about that. Eureka has a T-cell therapy. It's a CAR T-cell therapy, and it's called autologous, but they already have data with patients already. And so this is the Artemis is a new generation of autologous, T-cell therapy. So it's innovative, it is cool, and I am, delighted that we have partnership with both. And I've said this before, I am being quite promiscuous with my babies, our products, but I am being extremely careful about how to develop those.
And of course, that just really culminates with the stacked Dancecard that continues to get more and more busy. We're coming into the back end of 2021. It's been a transformative year for all of the different aspects for Imugene. What would you like shareholders to really watch out for over this next couple of months as we finish off a big year?
Well, that analogy of the Dancecard has completely, people mention that a lot, and I'll stick with that. I'm still filling out my Dancecard, having people come out and, being quite selective about who I'm going to dance with next. So that's still very much so in the works. It's all about getting Vaccinia, get that FDA IND, get it into patients. It's all about getting that onCARlytics data, the in vivo in vitro data. It's all about HERVaxx, getting them married or, combined with, and PD-1 Vax, we're still maturing and adding value to that program. Across all our programs, I think it's just rich with development plans, which means that it's rich with milestones and it's rich with, market announcements and those kind of things. But right now, it's just basically getting our products into patients, getting the data, getting my Dancecards filled, all those things, and making sure that, we all add value to the company, to the shareholders, etc. So yeah, it's a pretty busy time.
There is so much to watch for. I'd like to just finish with some reflections. Last close of the share price today, 60 cents, $3 billion company. You must be absolutely mind blown when you think about the trajectory, but just some reflection from yourself on how it's been, and also for the shareholders who have followed the journey for ASX IMU all the way through.
It's so interesting to me, even when I was a clinical developer at Genentech or Exelixis or GSK, I always thought about what would I do if I had control over this compound. I would always dream the dream and then have my team sort of decide what we're going to do with it. And I'm actually doing it. So I pinch myself every day that we've got some phenomenal products that some of the patients are doing really well. I mean, I love stories when my team tells me that such and such patient is going on. I mean, one of our PD-1 Vaxx patients is, at the time of December, he would have had no cancer growth, complete clearance of his cancer, his lung cancer, for a year. And so I'm emboldened by that.
It's a phenomenal story. Of course, all of Australia will be behind you and the Imugene team as you're trying to make a difference in a really important space. Leslie, it truly is always a pleasure. That's the ASX IMU story. You can find them on the ASX. If you're new here, welcome. We make daily videos, so make sure you've subscribed, turn the bell notifications on, hit the like button, and feel free to share it out. Leslie Chong, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me.